Immediately. All right, ladies and gentlemen, currently it is 11:58 a.m. for me, and it's currently 11:58 p.m. for these dudes. We have Measmata returning to the
Hello.
Anatomy podcast after so
sir.
long, bro. It's been
Thanks,
like,
Sean.
of course. Hello. How you guys doing tonight?
Quite good.
Well,
Good,
Very
good.
good.
You're
We
like,
just come back from the bar.
oh, you just came back from the bar?
Yeah.
Like, quite tipsy.
Uh-oh.
See,
What was the poison for all of you guys tonight? What did you guys
Everybody
end up
in the
grabbing?
club
Some like
with
beers or
tipsy.
something, or?
Men je lah.
All right. Let's see. So, I mean, yeah, it's holy shit, it's actually almost been a year. So, when was this original episode uploaded? Holy moly. April 4th, 2022. Okay, so we're not far off really from when we first uploaded episode 22 of the Anatomy podcast. But today we're doing things a little bit different because we have most of the crew here. We got two brand new faces to the podcast, and we will also be discussing their new album Megalomaniac, which they are planning to release here pretty soon with physical merch bundles. So there will be a link below in the description on the Anatomy Podcast YouTube channel's description to direct you straight to these physical merch bundles. But as we did last time, basically with Luther and Ayung returning, we essentially know their story. We've had them on before, and before it was also Andrian. Yes, sir.
Adrian,
Yes, Luther. You're like, yeah, what's up? What's up?
unfortunately, Adrian cannot join the podcast.
What's up?
And Adrian, unfortunately, Adrian cannot join the podcast.
No problem. Yeah, that's not an issue. More or less, I was just bringing up the last podcast episode and how we had the three of them on. But I mean, nonetheless, people, we have two brand new faces, the remaining members that we had yet to interview for the Anatomy podcast, as they are available tonight, which is really, really cool. So for those of you who are not familiar, for some reason, here on the Anatomy podcast, we have the first half for the people and the second half for the band. What's up? What are you pointing, Luther?
sorry.
You're good. And we have obviously tonight things are going to be a little bit different just because we're going to be interviewing Kie and Afiq. We're going to be learning their story, plucking their information off of them just like we did before, and then we'll be going into lyrically dissecting Megalomania, which should be really fun. So if you want to, Kie, you can go ahead and start first. Basically, just like I sent you with the questions and stuff. Go ahead and let's get started with the questions that I did end up sending you, starting with, where were you born and raised? This is a little bit more personal for sure, but started off pretty well here.
First of all, thanks, Sean, for the podcast. I have a little bit nervous for these sessions because this is my first time. Okay, my name is Kie. I was born and raised in Seoul. I am the youngest of my siblings. To be honest, my family was not supportive of me being in the band or even having a band. Because my parents are somewhat traditional, so they are particularly open and not open to a metal band or music. However, my oldest brother was the only one who support me and who share my enthusiasm. He was into a metal music himself, and then he was supported me of what I was doing. So that encouraged me to keep writing music. So it was a positive and negative experience for me.
Well, that's good. And that's a really good start. I mean, it's always great. It's always fantastic, dude, to have like support from family and friends early on where other people you know and love, people that raised you, unfortunately, like don't really see the benefits financially for doing creative mediums. I know that was a thing for me too, man. Like more or less when I was growing up, it was my old man who was the main like opposition, and he wasn't even like fuck music and you know all that other stuff, but very similar to your situation, I'm sure. He was more intent on making sure that my future was financially secure, right? And that I could have a realistic means of obtaining money and making a living for myself. So he said, if you want to, go ahead and, you know, have it on the sideline as a hobby, but you have to pursue something that's a little bit more professional. Unfortunately, the approach and that statement was made not even after, like, you would think that's what your parents or your loved ones would tell you when you're preparing to go on tour, right? When you're preparing to go physically in person, attend these shows, write music, do jam sessions with your friends in their garage, in their bedrooms, whatever. And unfortunately, he had that statement instead just after I was like writing lyrics and talking about the songs that I was writing. So I'm not sure how you could compare to that situation. Like if early on, even with like lyric writing or just like in general participating in that metal scene, if you ended up having the opposition right off the bat, or if it was like closer to when you were doing those more uh, um, involved acts, right? And actually going with the boys to perform, do jam sessions and stuff. Like how can you compare your situation to that? Like, were they kind of like opposing in the beginning, just like metal in general? Because I think you said that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And unfortunately, you know,
9 to 5 rules.
yeah, 9 to 5.
9 to 5 rules that I can really get it. Like,
I mean, dude, I do like 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. You guys know about that.
Yeah.
So like and I do that 5 days a week. Sometimes I do it on the weekends too, just to make a little bit more money. But it's like that there are definitely benefits with the job, like being able to edit and being able to podcast on the weekend. And you know, there's absolutely no way in the 7 circles, in the 9 realms of ossature, all that shit, that anybody can ever deny me like vacation opportunities because of like the many hours I work. But anyways, enough about me. So Kia, you or Key, sorry, your brother was like your first pillar of support as far as
Yeah.
getting into music and stuff. What were some of the first bands that he ended up showing you?
Some kind of like Linkin Park. Yeah, obviously.
Right.
Linkin Park.
That's a good start. Yeah.
Darling in my skin.
Yeah.
Not
These
the
words they will
hybrid story.
So Linkin Park, I mean, that's definitely a good gateway band. And I mean, do you still listen to Linkin Park to this day?
Of
Yes,
course. Yes,
of course.
we do.
Just
Yeah,
always be number
badass.
one.
Sweet.
Slipknot, System of a Down,
System of a Down,
Orbit
dude.
Angel.
Yes. They go hard. They like still go hard to this day, despite how much time has passed since they like last made music. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So as your brother got you started with certain bands, you said he was like in a metal project, right? Or he was just more or less participating in the culture?
Just participating, like just listen to the metal music.
Sweet. So proceeding from there, you know, like having that pillar of support and having him show you the music that he did, what was kind of like a breakthrough moment? And I do apologize because this is not a part of the questions, but it definitely continues off of those first couple questions. Was there a band that he got you into that ended up kickstarting your journey into being a vocalist or getting into the heavier music?
I think Chester is on the main reason of me for doing a vocal, because I was so impressed with the Chester vocal range. So I like like kind of mindfuck for the first time I hear the Linkin Park. I want to be like just something like that in my mind. So that things me keep me like to motivate myself to try new things, like practicing my vocal on the toilet, on the bathroom, something like that. Because it's
Mantap
really
ya.
funny. It's pretty funny, but I guess that's how I start.
Right. Yeah. You started with Linkin Park. You ended up transitioning and getting into heavier music eventually. And I mean, yeah, dude, sometimes a toilet, the
Ayung, Ayung
bathroom
Maiden.
ends up being the safe space. You know what I mean? It's like let it rip and then scream as hard as you can. Just they're like, oh my God, is he having to suffocate or something?
Will come.
No, that's how it happens sometimes, man. I mean, early on when I was getting into vocals, right? Mostly self-taught, but I have also had teachers over time, including
Yeah.
Greg Gilbert. He
That's
really
true.
helped me like further and like really hone my skills and stuff. But before that, dude, I was like going throughout my neighborhood and I was just screaming. Like
Yeah.
I felt so bad because it was a considerably quiet neighborhood, and I mean there was nothing bad going on, being that it was quiet. But dude, I even like ran into my high school like English teacher and her husband, and I was just ripping it. I was just doing vocals and shit. And like when I got close enough to them, I realized it was my teacher, and I'm like, oh shit, sorry. And they're just going on a peaceful little late night walk. You know what I mean? It was so embarrassing. And then going to school the next day, just going to class with that same teacher, I'm like, sorry about that. I just practice every now and then. So, you know, you had your brother to support you and you were learning more and more music. There was Linkin Park, right? That was your first band. Are there any other major bands or even like smaller bands that you recall that kind of like continued you along this journey into being a vocalist and wanting to do vocals and loving the music?
Uh, I think before this, I didn't listen to I didn't listen to the other metal band because I just know Linkin Park because I don't have a smartphone. I don't have a laptop or computer, something like that. I only have my old school phone.
Munyu-munyu.
I just download the Linkin Park song. That's all.
Okay. So really like along your whole
Munyu-munyu buat
journey,
Imo.
it's been more or
Munyu-munyu.
less like prominently Linkin Park that's kind of
Yeah,
helped you
yeah,
set this roadmap. Okay,
Linkin
cool.
Park.
No, that's dope, dude. And like how ironic that you end up following Linkin Park all this time, mainly because like that's all you have, but also you consistently follow them. You learn all these songs, you learn how to sing all these songs, and then you get more aggressive and aggressive over time with your own style. And I mean, sometimes people, that's all you need is one band. For me, for the longest time, before I had a job, before I was making money, it was Wage War, which is kind of in that same avenue, but it has like a little harder aspects and it goes into its own subgenres, being that there are so many hundreds of subgenres. So, like, you know, we've now discussed kind of your roadmap and how you ended up getting into bands and vocals and shit. So it's mainly Linkin Park. Have there been any other bands like recently that you've gone into, or like is it pretty isolated to Linkin Park until further notice?
Recently, I just
dia
got
datang
into
seperti
more
itu.
like a deathcore and modern deathcore and a black and deathcore stuff.
Yes.
Some like Laura Show,
Itu,
okay,
Luna Show.
Shrine of Malice, uh,
Friend Malaysia.
Shade of Intent,
Shadow
no,
Intent.
White
Imperial
Shepherd,
of the Gascon.
Warm Shepherd,
Warm Shepherd. Hell yeah, dude. That's awesome.
Immortal Disfigurement by
Yes.
by
Yes,
CJ
please.
McCreary.
Right.
Dayat.
Dayat's Murder, something. CJ is one of the best. CJ
Son of
McMahon.
Worm,
Yeah.
McMahon.
Absolutely agreed, man. No, that those are a lot of now starter kit bands when it comes to getting into black and deathcore, but it's really cool that you end up diving headfirst into all these bands. You dissect and you dig into their discography as if it's just like a full plate of food, and you're like, I gotta get my fill, got to get that meal in, because that's how you do it, man. And unfortunately, or like not unfortunately, because it's different for everybody, but it's like, bands like Shrine of Malice. And I mentioned this in the previous episode that we uploaded with the Human Tragedy. So everybody be sure to go check that out, please. And thank you. Because that's another return podcast session. And those guys are always fun to have on. Like Chris Paz of Shrine of Malice mentioned a long time ago, not on the podcast, but just like in the DMs, because me and him used to talk quite commonly. He said that when it comes to metal and stuff, and when it comes to Shrine, he doesn't actually listen to deathcore or black and deathcore that much, because it can cause creative pollution. And that is when you listen to so many bands that their sounds, their music start leaking into your own music. And I was like, that's very interesting. But I mean, not to milk that statement and milk that ideology too much, because I've already said it more than enough throughout all of the episodes of the Anatomy podcast. Really,
I listen lo-fi before shows.
You still love what?
Lo-fi.
Oh,
Lo-fi before shows.
Oh yeah, right, there you go.
Chilling.
So as we're continuing to learn a little bit more about Kie, question 1, part B, pros and cons of living in Malaysia to you, or like, where you're currently living, where you've been born and raised. What are some of the pros and cons about the culture, the environment, the economy, all that fun stuff? Like, what impressions could you provide the world as far as where you live?
There's many advantage and disadvantage to living in Malaysia, especially if you a musician in a metal band. Malaysians are still being exposed to our type of music. As you can see, there's a deathcore, metalcore, hardcore, and other metallic genre we metal bands play. So there's probably still trying to figure out which is I believe that half of Malaysian generation.
So more or less right now for you, the con kind of would be that
I mean, particularly the Gen Z fans of this type of music. They are willing to accept it as something different and one of a kind. It's only the elder who are difficult to approach.
Yeah,
that consider this type of music to be aggressive, harsh, and satanic in nature.
Right.
They become the pioneer of the new genre, hip hop and metal.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So like more or less right now for Malaysia, it's like the country overall with the older generations and stuff, just like here in the US, they have kind of they're hesitant with their approach to the music, but the newer kids and stuff, they're like, oh yeah, dude, Lorna Shore, Warm Shepherd, Shrine, like all these big bands overseas, over in different countries, like they're bringing the heat, so we got to bring the heat now too.
Yeah. So, however, the good things about living in Malaysia, in the music community here, everybody is so supportive of each other because we don't have a big scene. We only have a small scene in our country because metal is not the I mean like not all listen to the metal, so we have a small community in Malaysia.
Right. So you have like a small community, but because it is so small, like everybody's really interconnected, they're interwoven, and everybody just supports each other, which is always good for any local scene, as they would call it here in the US. Because obviously over here in the West, like it's a lot more accepted, being that Lorna Shore is like exploding TikTok, right? So it's easier to become a band like that. But the difficult thing over here in the West is that there are so many bands trying to do the same thing that it becomes saturated. and you're having to fight for like, this is what we do that's different from all these bigger bands. Listen to us, please, and thank you. Like there's a sort of competitiveness to it. But over in Malaysia, at least speaking for the music scene, everything is still pretty like tight knit, which is always really cool. And half the time I would prefer it that way. Just bands like trying to do their own thing, which every band is always trying to do their own thing. They're trying to distinguish from other bands because there are like 1 in 4 people around the world are a musician or a creator. So you really got to like figure out where your spot is in the musical world. So that's just speaking for the Malaysian music scene and their approach to the metal scene. How are like other things going on in Malaysia right now, like politics and, you know, kind of just the culture? Like what things do you enjoy and kind of dislike about the Malaysian culture in general?
General, for me, Malaysian politics sucks for me lah. Yeah, sucks politics. Every year and every month, there's a lot of people talk about politics in Facebook, Twitter. They all get into the politics, even though the new generations also get into the politics. It's kind of fucked up for me lah. Every day I just scroll my Facebook and what the fuck is this? Can you just stop posting these things? So I guess Malaysians, new generations still need to listen to music and do not focus to the politics because politics sucks.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that, man. Like politics, politics and religion, unfortunately, it's those two mechanics seem to like ruin everything for most countries, most societies these days. What's up, Luther?
Don't talk about politics, age, and religion.
Yeah, that makes sense. So 3 check marks. Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
And one more thing about the religion, because it's kind of the sensitive things in Malaysia. They are too sensitive about the religions, so we don't talk about the religion.
But we do respect all the religion.
Right.
Yep, we do respect all the religions. So for me, we don't talk about the religion.
Well, if I may, what is like the prominent and like the majority faith over in Malaysia? Because I don't think I ever asked that last time, and I'm super curious. I'm sure our listeners would be as well.
The majority is Muslim.
Oh, Muslim.
Islam.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Because Malaysia is one of a Muslim country, one of the Muslim country, but we also have a lot of religion like Buddhists, Christian. There are so many religions in here.
Pagan, yeah. Like, cause like
Jehovah's Witness.
Right. Yeah, no. And I mean that's super cool because that like over here in the US it's just a melting pot. Like everybody knows it at this point. So whether it be ethnicities, whether it be religions, whether it be politics, like there's a little bit of everything over here. But majority is like evangelical Christians that are like, being gay is a sin and we're gonna make it to where you can't get an abortion legally and all this other shit. It sucks, man. It sucks, and I'm really hoping we turn that around and kind of
stop the abortion.
Yeah, seriously, like pro-choice, dude.
Let the people over there state that male is male, female is female.
Yeah.
Or she, they, or whatsoever.
Right? No, seriously, it's deep fried, and I mean, of course, it's up to vote, right? And it's up to vote, it's up to democracy. But it's like also I'm hoping that by the time I am having kids and I'm like getting a family started over here, that it's not because the lady at hand, the lovely lady, the other half, that has yet to be involved in my life. I'm hoping that it is of her choice and not of like legal obligation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like pro-choice, dude. I get it because like pro-life, unfortunately it's a very religious thing for Christians and stuff, the evangelical Christians over here in the US. But I'm like, dude, separate fucking church and state. Religion has like no reason, no sanctum. It should not be involved in law. You know what I mean? But enough about me ranting about the US because everybody's painfully aware of how shitty our politics are right now. So like, I don't know, what's like the thing you love most about Malaysia as a country?
Food.
Food? Yeah. Usually the food.
Usually
I like the
food.
scenery.
Yes, we have a lot of traditional food. If you go to the part Malaysia like Sarawak, Terengganu, we have a lot of different traditional food. So that things it's more interest for me.
Right.
Like in Borneo, we have like
Eat the maggot.
Eat the maggot.
something like that. Like
People here eat the maggot
Right, maggots.
from coconut tree.
like exotic food. I mean exotic food.
Apa tuh kena panggil tuh? Butot.
And we called it butot.
Okay.
Yeah.
And every May,
it's kind of exotic food.
Right.
every May we have drinking party.
Festival.
Every May festival is Kamatan.
Oh, that sounds actually really fun. I love festivals. I don't like parties though. Festivals are fun, but no parties.
Festival you can see everyone is gonna lie down on the floor and vomit at the same
Yeah.
time, or maybe
It's,
sit on their pants.
Look, it's a harvest festival.
What?
Harvest
Harvest
festival.
festival. Yeah,
You
yeah,
should
yeah.
come to
You should come. We must.
Sabah.
You must do vlog from here.
One
Maybe
day, people.
I'm gonna be one of the person who gonna shit on my pants. Who cares? Who cares?
Luther says I'm giving you a fair warning right here, right now on the
Okay.
podcast.
Sorry.
No, that's cool. Dude, like participating in all cultures would be like a lifelong goal. And hopefully the Anatomy podcast like kind of builds up an audience and brings me to that point one day. I would love to like get some type of contract with Nat
Bring
Geo,
your
just like
bands.
Sean. No shitting my pants. I'm good, man. No, I definitely want to travel the world one day, and hopefully one of those destinations one day will be Malaysia, because I know that every country in the world has its benefits. It has its,
Yeah.
you know,
Not
has
only
its
Malaysia,
pros and cons.
Sabah. Don't go Sabah.
Sabah?
Go to Borneo.
Borneo.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go
Hey,
here.
we
Don't
gotta
go
agree on
KL.
one place, people. We gotta agree on one place. Everybody's
Because
gotta meet in
we
one
have
city.
hill, we have mountain, we have sea, we have
Best.
island, the best scenery in the world, and maybe gonna add not 7 wonder of the world, but eight wonder in the world.
Okay.
Sabah is the number 8.
Sabah.
Sabah.
Sweet. Okay. Well, while we're
And
kind of
Sarawak
wrapping
too.
up, sorry, while we're wrapping up your part of the people part of the podcast, lots of peace. Basically, you know, you've more or less discussed Linkin Park as being like your prominent inspiration, right? For being a vocalist, for wanting to get into music. What are like some of your favorite albums of all time, if you like have any that you found recently that have really helped you sharpen yourself as a vocalist for Measmata and for the lyrical process too?
Not recently, but I think before this, I used to listen to metalcore band, like the Devil Wears Prada. And the Devil Wears Prada album is Deathcore. Is one of my favorite. Deathcore.
UK. This one UK.
And like the old metalcore band from German, Caliban, and Eben Scholben
Yeah.
is my favorite
It's all
band. Caliban is I like the album from the Awakening.
Oh, nice.
And my favorite track is like My Time Has Come, I Will Never Let You Down. And for Heaven Shalban, I guess Forlorn Sky is one of the best track in the album. And
Got one more.
and
Outfall.
right now I'm
Easy
more to the Deathcore band, and it's kind of obvious, like Suicide Silence. Mitch Lager is one of the best vocalists, and for the Suicide Silence, I just listen to the No Time to Bleed. No Time to Bleed.
Sweet. Yeah, if it isn't
Yep.
usually the cleansing, it ends up being No Time to Bleed. So that's completely understandable. Good picks, good recommendations. Some of those albums, some of those bands we have not listened to yet on the channel, so we will be investing accordingly. But thank you, Kie, for providing your story, telling us a little bit about yourself, how you got into vocals, how you got into music. What's up?
To be honest, I have a lot of influence from the various types of bands. But I think for now, Chelsea Green is also one of the best band that I ever listened to. Since the Tom Barber changed the position of Alex, Chelsea Green are getting better. For me, it's getting heavy, and the riff it's more dark from the past, because after I forgot the name of the guitarist, Jason
There's,
Richardson. Jason Richardson. After Jason Richardson left, Chelsea Green, I think they are doing better without Jason, I think.
because I think currently the two guitarists of the band would be David Flynn. He's like the main bassist. He's the guy with the beard. He's the guy with the gorgeous like mustache and beard.
I know.
And then I think
I
Seth or Spencer is the other guitarist. He's like the riff lord.
I mean the previous Chelsea Green. The previous Chelsea Green. Jason Richardson is one of the guitarists, is it? From the Chelsea Green
I think, yeah.
But I just study Chelsea Green. I just studied Chelsea Green from the start and to the recently. So I think now Chelsea Green is more better than before.
Oh yeah, agreed. Like their new album Suffer in Heaven, I haven't listened to it all the way through. I plan to do that sometime this weekend. Like more than likely tomorrow. And Suffer in Hell was also really, really good. But I'm
Suffer in Hell,
yeah, I'm intrigued to see like how the two albums end up fitting together. Really, really good music, and did not expect them after all this time to do a double album, but super cool stuff. So with that said, we kind of wrap up Kie's story and we wrap up us talking with him about him. So now, Afiq, you are the remaining man. You are the remaining member that we have yet to tell their story. So very similar in fashion to how we've been questioning. I make it sound like an interrogation, but very similar to how we've been talking with Kie. Go ahead and just introduce yourself. Tell the audience like what you do for the band, and you may go as early as possible that you feel is relevant to your journey as a guitarist. You may take it away.
So my name is Afiq. I'm a guitarist for Measmata. Actually, I have been in Measmata since metalcore genre, right, Kie?
Yep.
Yeah, Measmata before is a metalcore band. So I've been in the band.
We used to play in metalcore.
Yeah. I've been in the band before, so and then I left for like
No, you take vacation.
Yeah.
You don't
I
take
take a vacation for like 2 year 1 year 2 year 1 year. And then after a year, this guy and this guy, they persuade me to
I persuade him to join Measmata. Come.
yes.
We left one more
being-
guitarist here.
So I just want to help at first because they're two just practicing by themselves without any guitarist. So I think I might fill in the the riff sounds and everything. So then how I became the official, I forgot
Oh,
already.
you became official because you never left Measmata because you are already Measmata.
Yeah.
You never left. You just be
He took a
Uh,
spiritual vacation.
Yeah.
or become one of the Jedi.
This is my Master Yoda. Mr. Yoda.
Luther would definitely be the Yoda of the band for sure. So
Yes,
I'm okay
the
with that.
shortest here.
No,
Join
but
Measmata, you will.
you cannot be the Yoda because I think
You sound not
You should-
green enough.
you're
Green enough.
master random.
Urban
Master of
legends.
random.
That's funny.
So that's a bit about me.
Sweet. So if you would be so kind, Mr. Afiq, go ahead and, you've already told us your position in the band, what you do,
Yeah.
how you joined early on for the metalcore edition of Measmata, did your spiritual vacation, and then returned for what would be the heavier black and deathcore version, the rendition of this band. So basically, take us as far back as you are willing to, and let's dig into your story, man. Let's tell the audience everything you think they should know about you as a guitarist, how you got into playing guitar. Maybe you had other hobbies and stuff, but we'll break it
Yeah.
down. Where were you born and raised, sir?
I was born at KK, Kota Kinabalu, Sabah, Malaysia. So before I used to play drum. I used to have a passion in drum first by watching. I remember when I was like 12, 11. I'm just watching Sonic the Hedgehog. Do you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that play music. So I have taken interest in the drum. I don't know what I want to the green guy,
Shadow.
something like that. So that's the time that I take an interest in music. So I take it so far, but I started by playing guitar and not a proper one, I can say, just a cover of so like and then like 15 and 16 years old, I become more focused on guitar and drums by starting at the genre. What genre? I think I play My Chemical Romance. No,
Chemical Romance.
one that the oldies, the emo one, the punk rock one, the bling some 41. Yeah, that also. Just for karaoke, yeah. Then after a few years, I got into college, and then I started playing. I started playing music properly at my college. So I'm taking a diploma in music, majoring guitar. And then I started to play in the scene, underground scene, as a guitarist and then drummer. Back to the guitar, by playing like metal stuff like hardcore, something like
Black
that.
metal or something.
Black metal just recently, I think. Then
Sela
found-
Daing.
yeah, no, and then I found a Kie. I found Kie. Then he brought me to Measmata, the metalcore version, and we played together. And then, as I told you before, just now, that's how it is. That's how it is.
Badass. Okay, cool. And thank you for telling us like the overall roadmap of
No,
your
no,
story.
not overall, man.
Not overall.
Just
Yeah, just like the
simplify, man.
bird's eye view. You know what I mean? Like a
I compressed
quicker
it.
summary.
From 3 gig to
Yeah.
to make,
No, I
make it
got
right.
you. I got you.
Yeah.
No, that's actually really cool. So you started with drums or guitar?
Actually, I started from guitar, but I taken interest in drums, and I focus on drums like 16 years old until 21, 22, something like that.
Right. Okay,
And-
cool. And you said you sought an interest in drums because of a Sonic game?
Yeah, just sometimes you have quite a weird reason to love something, right?
Yeah.
And that's my weird reason. Just by watching, as a child, as a kid,
It's easier to get chick when you are drummers.
Oh,
That's not how it is over here in the West. I'll tell you what. Everybody's like, no, the drummer dude, he's probably a scumbag. Stay away from either him or the bassist. So I'm like, oh, great. Now I'm going to be a
Yeah,
scumbag.
I cannot nail the chick, so I play guitar.
One or the other. Got to have your priorities, man.
That is
Trust
fingering
me.
the very
For now, guitarist.
Yeah, there you
Then I
go.
can take a tree, like something like that.
So, I mean, you bounce back and forth between those two roles, and you even went to school to like kind of hone and focus your skills as a guitarist.
Yeah.
So you said you worked up to a diploma, and you majored in guitar. Like, how long were you doing that?
For the diploma,
Yes.
4 to 5 years.
Badass, dude.
Yes.
No, that's actually really cool. And I mean, so like acquiring your diploma, that was specifically for like musical interest, or was that just like for high school and stuff?
No, it's for my musical interest. I
That's
need
cool.
to, get deep in this, what I do from, so I started to learn like properly to know
Right.
what I'm missing. Like, wow.
No, it's actually really cool. And the thing is, over here in the West with our educational system, like, no, you can't get a diploma just by doing like musical based stuff, right? Like you have to learn absolutely everything. And just like real life over here in the West is like you have to have like beginning and intermediate guitar as a side project, a side class, which is like so silly to think about, but it's really cool to know that you had the opportunity through the educational means over there to get your diploma by focusing on music. Like that's actually really cool. And I kind of wish we had that over
Thanks, man.
here. Yeah, of course, man. And congratulations on acquiring your diploma through music. And then after that, after you got your diploma, how many years after that were you pursuing the major for guitar?
Ever since that, I started in 2012 until now. So it's 11 years.
Holy shit. Okay. So
Real
you've been like
properly.
tracking down that, man. How old are you?
I'm 31.
31. Okay, that
Yes.
makes a lot more sense. I'm like, dude, there's no way this dude's like only 19 or something. Like,
Wow, like 19 something.
Yeah.
Baby face.
but I mean,
Okay.
that's a good thing, man. That's a good thing. That means you look young, you're staying in shape, and you're just doing what you love. So it kind of just glows off of you. You know what I mean?
Thanks.
Meanwhile,
Yeah.
over
No
here, I look
stress.
like I'm 31. I'm only 23. Like,
Nah, man, you look young.
thank you. Thank you.
Are you 23?
Yeah, I'm only 23.
yo,
Damn, son, you look.
Well, I mean, your number.
I'm 32.
You're 22.
I'm 30.
Damn.
32.
32.
I'm 32. Yep.
I'm 27.
Holy shit.
We
Y'all are way
31.
older than me.
I'm
What the fuck?
31.
You do?
Ayung is 32.
I'm 32.
No, sorry. I'm 32.
27.
I'm 91. He 91. 91 and
He's already 50.
he's already 40.
No.
I don't know.
That's
Nah,
why I
I'm the
said
baby in
age,
session. What the
religion,
fuck?
and politics. You cannot talk about age, politics.
That one is sensitive for him, for sure.
No, it's crazy, man. That means I'm the baby in session. What the hell? This is a turnaround.
Oh,
Like,
man.
what the hell? I did not expect that at all. Especially with our last session.
We
I
eat
thought we were all-
dogs.
Oh my god. Yeah.
No, joking. Joking.
That's crazy, man. What a new revelation. I'm the baby in session. What the fuck? I have a beard. None of y'all have fucking beards. No, Luther
I
has
just
a little
shaved my
goatee
beard,
going
man.
on.
Yeah,
Oh,
we-
yeah.
You just shaved.
we just have-
Me too. I just
Because you know what,
masculine thing.
I cannot have a beard because I used to work in food and beverage, so I cannot have a beard.
Right.
We love
Okay.
to be metrosexual, but we don't like to be homosexual.
No, it's this.
Seriously.
There you go. So, Afiq,
Metrosexual
as
is
we're
good.
continuing to kind of like tell your
Yeah.
story, right, and learn a little bit more about you, I mean, you bounce back and forth between those two roles. When you rejoined Measmata, obviously you're a guitarist for the band, but have you been helping them like do guitar or not guitar? Have you been helping them do drum parts as well, or do you mainly focus on writing guitar riffs and shit?
Mainly drum is made by
Didi.
Andrin.
And
Oh,
Yeah. So before that, before the Megalomaniac, it's all made by Andrin and Kie. And then I just came in and play my part and in
fill in
the last song, the newest song, latest song,
chapter.
the
of the
chapter
cadence.
of Decadence.
Okay.
I guess, so the solo in intro, I played that, and then
He's playing the solo and intro for chapter of Decadence.
yeah,
Not only the chapter of decadence, it's included the Black Moon,
we like three songs.
Black Moon, Nyctopelia.
Chapter of Decadence.
And next album, on second album, maybe more from
to
him.
come, more
More
to
from
come.
him.
yeah, get everybody involved in the process.
They
That's
definitely
exactly how
go
it should be
into
done.
The ritual of vacation.
That'd be a good song. That'd be good. Just like Ritual Vacation. What's this song about? Oh, this is just about Afiq returning to the band. They're like, oh, okay, cool. That's metal as fuck, dude. And you just like make it this
A
just
lot of ambient, man.
lot of ambience. Yeah, there you
I
go.
just kidding.
So you said like your very first guitar, right? When you were getting into guitar, it wasn't, you know, like the best guitar in the world. Obviously, no person
Yeah.
starting out, they're gonna have like a top tier guitar.
Yeah.
Just like
Yes, yes.
any person getting their first car. Like I learned my lesson the hard way, but you can't get a brand new car and expect things to go well. You know, you're gonna wreck your first car. So like, do you remember the first guitar you ever got? Do you remember the first drum kit you ever got?
I didn't manage to get the drum kit because it's so expensive here.
Right.
And the neighbor here is not as friendly as the West, you know. Another knock, another plane flying, you know,
Yeah.
Asian style.
Jackie Chan, Journey to the West.
You need to do West style. So I got my first guitar after my 17 years old, 18 years old, I think. That's my first guitar, man. The other, I just borrowed from my friend. We played together at the streets and something like that.
Cool. No, that's really That's really dope. Not dupe. That's yeah, like sometimes when you get started early on, I know before I got my my four string Ibanez bass, I was just like playing other people's acoustic guitars. I was playing my roommates acoustic guitars at the time, and I'm like, I want to get into music, but I don't know if
Yeah.
I could do like the instrumental part. I kind of just want to write lyrics and do vocals and be the person in front. And then over time, I'm like, also fuck frontman syndrome. So like it was a big 180, and I felt bad because the first ever project I joined, I joined as a developing drummer, but I didn't know shit on the drums. So I'm like, I actually don't know how to play drums. Can I do vocals instead? Like, can I just sing instead? And that project never came to light, but I have like at least 40 songs worth of lyrics written for that project that I will be bringing over to the new project, and that should be really fun. So Afiq, joining Measmata, right? Whether the first rendition or the second rendition, what have been your favorite things about joining the band? Like, what was the thing that got you into the band, other than your Luther being really enthusiastic about your return?
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, the first Measmata metal version, that is my first time playing. I mean, like, letting myself free, just playing the guitar and headbang and fuck people in the face, something like that. Just kidding.
No, you're fine. That's kind of the
just kidding. So I have my fun in Measmata previous.
right.
So when Lותר, Ayung, and Kie like asked me to rejoin, so the first thing in my mind that I thought is the fun that I get inside, the enjoyment, the you know, what can I say, the adrenaline when I play with Measmata.
The
The chemistry, yeah.
The chemistry, yeah. That's
The
always
most
everything.
important part is my brother, that one, my brotherhood here is our brotherhood.
Right.
Is now here, yeah.
I never
Right.
blast the drum that bad when he joined, because his tone guitar is very. I like his tone guitar.
No, it's awesome, man. And that sometimes, dude, when it comes to actually assembling a band, you got to make sure that the people that you're working with, you get along with. Otherwise, you're like, ah, fuck this guy. You know, he plays good riffs, but he's also a fucking prick. He drinks all the time. When he's not writing riffs, he's like, you know, because he's like slosh drunk or something. So it's like,
Yeah.
you never know, man. You got to make sure that
Yeah.
the people that you're working with, they're on the same level of dedication as you. Otherwise, it just doesn't work out. And then even if you do like the people, maybe you're all buds, maybe you've all been friends for years, but they don't have the
Yes.
drive, they don't have the motivation to like really hone in their skills and learn what they need to play their part for the band. That doesn't work either. And that's more or
That
less
I
what I
agree.
dealt with. What's up?
Yes. That's one I agree, because as I can see, the person that I know the most, what you just mentioned just now, the spirit, apa dia bilang? Spirit, the commitment, the spirit, is shown by Kie. He is the most committed person in the Measmata.
Yes.
That's what I got my interest in, and Ayung and Luther also show the commitment on drums and bass, so that makes me more want to join with the group and make it as a teamwork.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really good. And I'm happy that you ended up joining back in, because obviously there's a reason you guys are now gearing up to release and unleash Megalomaniac upon the world. And if I remember correctly, whether it was from Kie or the main Measmata Instagram chat, the main reason you guys don't have Megalomaniac on all streaming platforms is because you're wanting to get the physical merch out to the fans first,
Yeah.
correct?
Yes.
Right. And very, very interesting approach, because most bands are like, well, they at least need to have the material to get attached to, and then, you know, we'll get the physical merch out. We'll see if the demand is there. You guys are doing the opposite, and I'm very interested. I'm very intrigued to see how that ends up going for you guys, but I hope it goes really well. And if I had more room in my closet, you better bet your ass that I'd be getting at least one of the shirts, the hat, and the CD, but I'm also preparing to move.
You will
So,
have it.
yeah, most likely once I'm finished with my move and I have more room, I have my own like bigger closet, and I have more space on my walls, all that fun stuff, I will be definitely investing into some physical Measmata goodies, because you guys, you're doing something really cool for your part of the world. You're doing something really cool for your part of the scene. You're collaborating with musicians, plenty of guys over here in the West, and it's really, really cool to see. It's the reason this is a sequel podcast session. Like, you guys got it going on, all that fun stuff. It's really good.
Mamma
So-
mia, here we go again.
Sing it, Luther. Sing it. But don't get its copyright struck, okay?
Copyright.
So, Afiq, as we're kind of like wrapping up your part of the session, we're getting closer and closer to it, and then descending into the second half, because I know for you guys right now, it's about to be 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'll do apologies that, well, there was a lack of communication, and therefore we're starting later in the day. Just like I asked Kie, what have been your like pros and cons about growing up in Malaysia, growing up in Sabah, and like your part of Malaysia? Like, what are the pros and cons for you?
I think the pros is that
Accepting
We-
the music.
we have the traditional music. I think that's a pros that I can consider pros. That we have the traditional music to start as our root for our musical career. Yeah. Then the cons is, I think, of course, as Kie said just now, the people, the citizen, the
Politics.
publics, the people,
We don't say
the people here,
the general people.
they are not very supportive, not as like Indonesian style. They have their own community there. We have our own community here, but we have also the elitist style, the
Enough
one
said.
that, yeah, I don't want to say it, that they
It's always a pain in the ass for all of
screenshot
us.
my face later, and then
They always be the red flag.
yeah. So, but for us, that is the kind of cons that for now we don't give them shit about it. Just let it.
Keep on going.
Yeah.
Just do what we want to do.
Yeah.
Just gotta
So
fight
we-
that.
Yes, we're fighting the cons, whatever the cons is. So we're focusing on the pros only.
Right. Good,
Yeah.
good. Staying optimistic instead of like, I don't know, feeding off of the negativity like a demonic entity or something. You're just like, oh, so these elitists, they're gonna ruin everything for us. Well, fuck the elitism.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta stay positive,
Some
man.
part of it.
Yeah. So if anything, Afiq, as we kind of conclude your storytelling session for this part of the session, just like I asked Kie, what would be like 5 albums or artists that have really helped you hone your skills as both a drummer and a guitarist?
For now, I'm just talking about guitar, okay?
Okay.
So I think my 5 top album, I don't have a 5 top album actually. I just listen randomly, and then when I like the melody, I just keep it on loop. The music. So like maybe now I can say the one that I remember is Jason Richardson, what the number 1, number 2, the album that he released with first with drummer Luke Holland. That one, some part of the song, and Jason Becker, the legendary Jason Becker. Paul Gilbert, I don't think Paul Gilbert. I can say for the soul one, I like to hear a variety of genre. Sometimes I listen to like soul, like B.B. King, for his soul, and then I just
BB King.
yeah, and then I just went back to time, like listening to Beethoven and the classical composer, the generation of classical composer. Sometimes I listen to them because I need to have their inputs in melody. Sometimes we have our melodies now used from the classical ones, reuse. So I cannot give you five top album I cannot give you, but there you go. Some part of my track.
Right, right.
Yeah,
I mean, dude,
yeah,
it's kind of the same thing for me when it comes to music. Like, if anybody has these same questions for me in the future, I'm gonna be like, okay, so top 5 artists, top 5 albums, but what subgenre? Like, because
yeah.
the thing is, I have a top 5 for deathcore, I have a top 5 for black and deathcore, I
Yeah.
have a top 5 for metalcore, hardcore, metallic hardcore, beatdown, like, and that's already 6. It's already 6 subgenres. It's not even talking
Yes.
overall about metal, because there are
Yeah.
so many bands, and obviously the podcast is good evidence of that. I'm always researching, I'm always like digging into
Yeah,
the
yeah.
biography of like so many hundreds of bands, so it's
Yes.
always hard to isolate. But what I could tell everybody is that, like, for example, Garrett Russell of Silent Planet is my absolute all-time favorite
Hey,
lyricist.
Silent
Oh,
Planet.
Silent Planet.
Yes, sir. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
dude, like my first tattoo is like first Silent Planet.
Cool,
Yes, sir.
That's cool.
No, it's really cool. I cannot wait to get it finished. It's so pretty. It's so pretty on my Wonder Bread white skin. But like Garrett Russell, yeah, hands, that would be like my favorite lyricist of all time, just because for most of the Silent Planet discography, every song that he does, it's like a research project. He has references to multiple points in history or mental illness or the quotes of philosophers that he kind of paraphrases into one stanza, one line. And I've always like wanted to be as great of a lyricist as he is, and I hope to accomplish that one day. But thank you, Afiq, for providing us your story, providing us a couple
Thank you.
recommendations in just music in general. And we'll be right back for our ad break. Okay, and we are back. It is, I have no idea what fucking episode this is going to be. It really depends on how quick we get everything edited and uploaded, but we will compact our time as much as possible today in respect to the boys in Measmata, for it is currently 12:59 p.m. for me, and it's about to be 1 a.m. for them. I mean, they had some fun, they let loose, they came back, and now we're doing the session. But nonetheless, I'm sure you guys are tired. I'm sure you're wanting to go to sleep here pretty soon. So we will compact this as much as possible. So as we descend into the second half of the podcast, people,
Masuk ke sini tuh biasa.
That's all right.
Nah.
I will not be detained. No, like, if the first question for the second half would be, what does Measmata mean to you, Kie, and Afiq? Because we know before, we've known from the prior session that it's more or less a reference to an older video game. But what does Measmata as a band, as a musical composition, as Megalomaniac is being soon presented to the public, like, what is this whole band meant to you guys in your life?
For me, as you know, Measmata was taken from the survival game. So, so important for me is to survive in the music industry, because it's easy to be in the band, but not to stay in the band and commit for a band for a long time. As you know, Measmata lineup has changed for several times, so that gave me motivation to stay and survive in the band. So I'm glad I'm having Afiq, Lותר, Ayung to keep me strong day by day, and
You are Measmata.
and also
You are
Adrian's.
Measmata.
The most important for me is our brotherhood. That's all for me.
Male bonding.
A brotherhood of survivors. I like that.
Yep.
Like, survivors in the music industry, survivors, and let's see, prevailers, I would even say. Like, I don't know, you guys are taking the steps that you need to grow in the scene, to grow in the metal scene of Malaysia, and it's really cool to see. That's another reason we're having you on the podcast, is because I want to be the one to tell your story early on before you guys blow up, okay? Like, all that type of fun stuff, because I know you guys are going to be
We'll
making
get all
big
the
moves one
credits.
day.
So
All the press.
as you know, every band have experienced difficulties in the band. But what I can say about Measmata that I adore our brotherhood, which is what keeps the band going and together to this way and this day. When I'm down, they check on me, and vice versa to Lותר, our drummer, is the backbone of the band.
No,
We always checking.
everyone is the backbone.
We always checking in on each other because we have a similar issue in the past. My guitarist Adrian's, bassist Didi, Afiq, because they're always so dedicated to what they do. They have amazed me with their masterpiece when we work on our music, and every time they deliver it, it meets or even exceeds my expectations.
Good. That's awesome. That's a great answer. Like, among other things, you guys have always stuck through. You've always stuck together. You've looked after each other like brothers. It truly is a camaraderie. It truly is a brotherhood, and a brotherhood of survivors at that. Afiq, what would be your answer to that kind of basic question for, you know, in-person interviews and shit?
What was the question again?
Right. So like with you like returning to the band, or even, you know, reflecting on your first efforts and participations in Measmata, like what does Measmata mean to you, other than, you know, the band name being referencing to a survival video game?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's a lot to me.
yeah, it means a lot to me.
That's why I never
Uh,
get up. That's why he never
yeah,
get up, because
like-
Measmata is
I like Kie just said, the brotherhood and all stuff,
Measmata is
the teamwork inside. We can give each other tasks that sometimes in another band you try to give a task to, you know, person, they have their own how do you say, level of the mind.
Yeah, like they have their
yeah.
own ambitions.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think we share the same ambition in here, Measmata. So that's why we are focusing on our album and everything, our masterpiece, our songs, you see. So that's why it means a lot to me, Measmata. Measmata I can give it's top priority in my, you know,
Music career.
yeah, I can say that, music career and my life.
Gitar baru tuh,
I can say that. Yeah.
Good. And I mean, yeah, sometimes, dude, with like what we had in mind from the very beginning of the session, Kie telling us about how, you know, he didn't really have that much support getting into music, but his older brother helped him out. His older brother became that pillar. Like, sometimes it is too often, so not sometimes, too often, we are surrounded by other individuals that I would say 3 out of 4, with us being the 1/4 of the world who happens to be musicians. Like, still, that's a big chunk, 25% of like up to 7 or 8 billion people now, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But like those other 3/4, right? They're kind of like, why are you pursuing music, man? Just like get a job and, like, you know, have a more realistic lifestyle and career, sustain yourself, and blah 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 blah. When you're able to devote yourself as much as you all have to Measmata, to your creative medium, to your band, to your art project, to your music project, when you're able to make that your life, and then when you're able to benefit off that financially, or by whatever means, spiritual, financial, intellectual benefits, you know, just getting to know people, making connections, sharing your music with the world, sharing your story, it's like that's really what makes it worth it. And it's always fun to see bands just continuing to grow because they're working so fucking hard. Because it's hard. It's very difficult with those 3/4. That other 3/4, just like, maybe you should stop doing music for a career. Maybe you should get a job. I'm like, no. You know, it's a
Always
whole
listen to that kind
process.
of style. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely not a life I could live either. Yet I work 50 hours from home, and basically scam people into going back to school for a living, folks. Like, I don't have a good job. It just makes the money, it's flexible, and for what it's worth, it allows me other opportunities because, you know, no human being is able to multitask, but like I get pretty close to it. So we have our perspective definitions for the band's name now from all of the members of Measmata, which is really cool. We're wrapping up that story now. We've learned about every single member of the band. Now we kind of talk about Megalomaniac. So, Kie, are you not the main lyrical, like the main lyricist behind this record, or was it like a collective lyrical effort? Like, how did that end up
No,
going?
it's me. I'm the one who wrote the lyrics for Megalomaniac.
Sweet.
It's pretty difficult, but as you know, I've done it very well. Not so good, but as I can say, it's too difficult for me because I don't have a good English, but
Right.
I try my best.
You do pretty well, dude.
And I just make like take the ideas from my influence for the I guess for the Measmata. The main influence for me to write the lyrics is Greg Gilbert. Greg is one of my favorite lyricists.
Fuck yeah.
And CJ from Diet is Murder. They are two main influence for me, and for me they have an impact on the lyrics that I write for Measmata.
Sweet.
That's all I say.
Badass. No, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Kie, next question concerning this record. Would you mind going under the skin, going track by track, and doing lyrical analysis for Megalomaniac?
Okay. As I can say, all the song have the same story. But the difference is between the Megalomaniac track is only the timeline.
Okay.
It's all about a fantasy about the darkness war on humanity from the dawn of time until the present day.
Okay.
Each track is about a fallen angel who has turned against a good and become the devil. The lyrics were written to express the transitions from greatness to despair. That's all I can say. I just like impress his feelings because as you know, it's all about a fantasy because I love to watch movie like something like Lord of the Rings, like Messiah, something like that.
Right. No, I get what you mean.
It's all about the same story, but the difference is only the timeline. Yeah.
It's actually really cool. And I mean, that's one way to write a record, man, is to be telling the same story, but in different like time frames and different time eras and stuff. So would you mind then being that, you know, where it all kind of, it connects that way. It connects really, really, it's almost like really the only difference is like song by song and time period by time period. So like, I don't know if we have that in mind, what are some of the time periods that are like mentioned throughout all these tracks? And would you mind providing us the insight upon that?
Just forgot.
Yeah.
So starting with
Okay.
track 1 then on the record, because I don't have the track list on me. And I mean, the only thing you guys
First
sent
track
over.
is Megalomaniac.
Okay.
Okay. It's all about like it's all about some
What the bass?
want to take the like I forgot by the Megalomaniac. Megalomaniac.
It's okay.
Okay,
So,
as you know, the lyrics is all about the darkness, and it's all about the darkness and the first human creations. I add some like from the Islamic and from the Bibles and the Islamic facts. And then I convert it to my story. It's all about like as you know, as the first human creations, God say you have to bow to Adam, something like that. And then he didn't want to bow to Adam, and then God give him curse, something like that. And he wanted to declaring war between him and the humanity. Something like that, I guess, for me. As I can say, it's all the same things, but only different timeline.
Right. So more or less, like as we're going throughout this record and stuff, you have the main title track, which is it's the introduction to the album. It's the introduction to all of these songs residing in the same story, but different points in time. So
Yeah.
with track 2, for example, because I don't know the name of the track, but
Track
what would
number
be
2 is Throne of Misery.
Throne of Misery. Okay. It's
Throne
slowly
of
focusing.
Misery, because okay, as you know, in Islam,
yeah, that is.
There we go.
Okay, Throne of Misery. As you know, in Islam, we have Azazel.
Right.
Azazel in
Hell.
Islam, he was something like an angels who lead the angels to pray to God, something like that. And after that, he was on the top. He was on the top after God. Azazel is the second one, and after that is the angel, all the angels. But after the human creations of Adam, and he go to down
You refuse to bow.
something like that.
That king refused to bow.
So it's fantasy war. You can say that.
Yeah, but we convert it to the fantasy,
Right.
because we don't want to
Confuse or
to get
disrespect.
to get into religious.
Right.
As I can say, we just say it fantasy war because it's all about our
Imagination.
imaginations.
Yeah. Right. So you essentially Megalomaniac and most of the Measmata discography with this album, it's fiction. It's fiction,
It's
based off
fiction,
What's up?
and mix some like the fact of from the Bible or something like.
Yeah.
One,
It's like your
but we
own version
created-
of those events, really. That way
Yeah.
it is fiction, and it's not like being disrespectful or, like anything like that to religious text, which is important. If you're not wanting religious confrontation in your audience and your fan base. So Thrones of Misery, that's mostly
Because,
talking about Azazel, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then track 3, I know Afiq had the list up. So if we can, if
That's it. My
It's
camera is sucks in autofocus.
Your God doesn't exist. Your God doesn't exist.
We have 1 to 11. Have 11. Sean, your mic is mute.
Yes, I'm back again. I don't know why. So your God doesn't exist. What's that one about? Like residing within the Megalomaniac storyline. And if anything,
okay.
Afiq will just have you name off the tracks as we're
Okay.
going along.
Sure.
As you know, in Malaysia, we cannot say anything about the religion.
Right.
And then the after the after the Your God Doesn't Exist was released into the YouTube,
Yeah.
we got a lot of the bad
Bash.
feedback. We got a
Yeah.
lot of feedbacks. But for me, let me to be clear about the Your God Doesn't Exist. It's not about the religions. It's not all about the Antichrist or something like that. It's all about your dark side. It's your dark side. Something like when you got into a problem, like your parents passed away, someone you love left you, your siblings betray you, and
Yeah.
when you in hard when you in hard situations, that kind of some like whispering in your ear, oh, you believe your God, then now you lose everything. So where's your God
Right.
now? So if your God didn't help you in this time, so your God doesn't exist. That's kind of ideas that I got from my personal life also.
Right.
Like
Okay.
a devil whispering.
Because
bad things.
I lost my parents in 2014. They have cancer.
Oh shit, I'm
They
sorry.
they die in fighting cancer. My father have a blood cancer. Okay, blood cancer, leukemia, and my mother have a lung cancer. So it's all about my personal. I
Right.
have to put my personal story in the Your God Doesn't Exist.
So your God doesn't exist. It's not simply saying that, there is no God, but like regarding loss, regarding when
Yeah.
things go bad. It's like, it happened in the first place. For example,
Yeah.
Sulfur on their upcoming album, this one of their songs, Earthen, it's about like how here in the US, most of the time kids actually die from cancer. And it's like what one of the lyrics is, what kind of God would test a child? What kind of God would take the children away from us? Like that type of thing. It's that same mindset. It's like, yeah, even if your God does exist, which we're neutral on that, even if he does exist, then why is he killing people with cancer all the time that don't deserve it? Or like, why is he causing natural disasters, causing famine, causing plague? It's the same thing. It's the same exact thing.
Yeah.
So I love that you guys have a song like that on this album, just because it brings the necessary awareness to the table that even if God does exist, bad shit still happens all the time. And half the time, it doesn't even happen to bad people. It happens to innocent people. And then if you dig a little bit more into it, which me and Chase Wilson from Sulfur also dug into this a little bit for concerning the album, it's like when people are so openly willing to saying it was the will of God that those people passed away, or it was the will of God that those kids were tested by getting cancer. It's like, don't you think that's a little bit sick in the head? And that's how I think. That's how I present that. I don't know if that's how you guys present that, but for me, it's like, it's more terrifying than being in a dark room, possibly with a demonic entity that's still lingering there because other people who were fools before decided to conjure it into the room, right? You're like, in that moment, you're like, this is actually more psychotic than those people that decided to just summon the demonic entity into the room. It's like they're so openly willing in their mourning, in their loss, in their grieving process to think that it was the will of God that my child was taken from me. Or in Kie's story, it's like, it was the will of God that my parents, both of them, passed away from cancer, which I'm so sorry to hear, man. And I hope they rest in peace. I hope they're doing well in a better place. But like, when people are so openly willing to accept that as the will of God, that's what's kind of psychotic to me. And it's the reason that religion kind of ruins a lot of aspects in life, because you have so many people like that who are willing to bow down on their knees and say, oh, the famine that just wiped half of us out, made most of our children sick and die, it was all the will of God. I'm like, no, no, not really. But oh, well, people have their beliefs. And after all, believing isn't knowing. So it's like, sometimes it's better to have that belief instead of knowing the scientific parameters of what was happening. You know, maybe it was something in the water, maybe it was something in the food, but they're like, oh, it was the will of God. And I'm like, no, y'all are fucking psychotic. Y'all are nuts. But that's really cool that you guys decided to present a song like that on the album. So track 4, we have Eternal Hatred. What is this about, Kie?
Eternal Hatred is all about Azazel. It's about Azazel, the fallen angel in Islam, who hate the human, who hate the Adam and the rest of the humans, because he will live until the end of time. I mean, like until the doomsday. He want to bring all the human to hell. Give them some like to telling them to do bad things, and you can go to hell with me, because I had human, something like that, and provoke the human to do bad things.
Yes. Right. So Eternal Hatred is about Azazel's eternal hatred for the human race.
Yep.
Sweet. Okay. So track 4, we have really my gateway track into starting to listen to this band, wanting to get them on the podcast. We have Jepeshmos featuring Greg Gilbert of Shrine of Malice. What is this one about?
Sepasmos, okay. The most interesting in Sepasmos is about the titles. Okay, I got the titles from I guess from the Greek.
Right.
If you translate Sepasmos into English, you can get downfall. It means downfall. So like if you go into the Islamic history, so the demon or the evils will born. If you do something bad, they will born from your like empty heart. You don't believe in something like good things. You just do bad things, then they will reborn from that kind of, like that kind of stuff.
Right. So then downfall would be about just like how
Yeah.
pessimism can tear people down and ruin their lives.
Yeah, something like that.
Cool. And obviously, like, Greg Gilbert is an excellent vocalist. He's a buddy of mine. He's been buddies of mine for like a long time now. What was the reason for choosing him to feature on this track?
Ooh. As you know, Greg is one of my big influence, and I think Greg will be a perfect featuring for the song, because as you know, the soul album from the Shrine of Malice, it's very, very dark, and I think if I have feature with Greg, this song will be sick.
Right. Yeah, no, Sheol is like one of the most iconic records, I think, for the black and deathcore genre. So I completely understand that. And I'm thinking, I cannot confirm this, ladies and gentlemen, but I do have I did a deposit with him to do a vocal cover for Lorna Shore's Warpath of Disease. And, you know, the cover that was presented in the end was just me. And that was quite some time ago. But because I never got that money back from him, most likely he will be featuring on the next Blind Without Our Failures track for a song called Primitive Instinct. But I have no idea yet. That's one of my intentions, just because I've already paid him. So, I mean, I might as well utilize that opportunity while I can. So, yeah, people, if you want to have a little headcanon, and this is just to the audience, this is not to the members in chat exclusively, but I might be featuring him on my next song because he's an iconic vocalist, and
Yeah.
I'm more than aware of like all the things that have happened recently in his life to him, because of him, more or less. But he has atoned. I think he's taken the necessary steps to atone for what happened, and therefore I have every intention to feature him in my music. That will be something I look forward to, whether it be Primitive Instinct or another future track. So shout out to Greg Gilbert as always. But track 6, we have The Unholy. What's going on here?
Unholy. Okay.
Favorite track.
Wait. Unholy. Unholy. It's all about
The unholy.
The unholy
the human
of
belief.
Smith, yeah?
The human belief. The wrong Messiah. As you know, as I can say, like before, we take it, the ideas of the lyrics from the Islamic and the Bible, something like that, and then we believe one day, there's one man will come to the earth and claiming himself as a Messiah. So and then the unholy is talk about the false Messiah. They believe the false Messiah and do like something preparing for the Messiah, and like they're doing like something like the new world order. They want to be a one nation, something like that.
Right.
They're doing like some like beyond the human nature, like something like human experimentations. They're controlling the war by proxy, something like that. They are
Right.
trying to control the world.
Right. So the unholy is more or less about what could be the New World Order.
Yep, something like that.
Sweet. Track 7, we have Black Moon. What is this about?
Black Moon. Okay, Black Moon is all about the war before the doomsday. Before the doomsday, the Black Moon. Because Black Moon is I used to put in the title because there's something like when you got into the war in the doomsday, there's no light. I mean, I used to use metaphor for the titles.
Right.
The Black Moon. So something like you got into the demonic war, something like the war before the doomsday. You like pretend to have such a good view of your place or whatever. So that things like Black Moon. So that mean like the environment is so dark. There's no light over day. Something like that.
Right. So Black Moon could easily be about, because you mentioned like the final war before Doomsday. So, I mean, Black Moon could easily be alluding to hopefully what will not be, but what could be World War III, and how by the end of it, like basically everything will be wiped out. There will be absolutely nothing left. And I mean, shit, if it's anything like Revelations, we might have like multiple volcanoes erupting, and therefore the skies will fill with ash, and it'll be cold, but you'll be choking on the ash, and therefore there's absolutely nothing left to secure, because everything has been burnt to the ground. And then there is no light, there is no silver lining, because the moon is in a solar eclipse, which is really excellent imagery in any situation for like just darker times and just revelations and just prophecies being unveiled and stuff. And I mean, I think this ends up kind of colliding too with the album really well, just because everything's on fire and there are corpses everywhere. Now, it might not be like pitch black, because, you know, if it was, then you wouldn't see anything on the album cover now, would you? But instead we have, you know, a landscape that is just ridden with flames and corpses and agony and pain as doomsday unleashes itself upon the world, whether that be the interpretation provided in Revelations or in other faiths. So that's really cool. Really black and deathcore, really does fit well with the aesthetic that you guys seems to be pushing towards. I like it. So we have track 8, Nyctophilia. What is this about?
Okay, Nyctophilia is all about also like the black moon, but this time I used to Nyctophilia because we are human, we are went to dark, like spending your time in a dark room, and you think like you lose all your hope to survive, and you just pretending you like, oh, I'm dead already, or something like that.
Like, I might as well be dead.
I don't need to fight. I don't need to fight, something like that. I don't need to fight. I just spend my time for the rest of my time in the dark room, in the dark something, dark era, something like that.
Right. Well, that was smoke. I thought Kie was about to disappear for a second. Whoop, gone. No, that's I mean, it's a continuation. It really is a lyrical continuation of Black Moon. It's this deprivation of self.
Like as you can see in the lyrics, say like something like the dark try to convince the human, like I forgot, wait a minute. Nyctophilia.
Man, I see that smoke going to the other camera now. That shit's traveling.
He say like, kneel to the ground and pray to your savior, something like that. The darkness that scar you, it is your desire, something like that. That he trying to convince the humans to spend his time to the dark, something like that.
No, I get what you mean. Like nyctophilia, because I mean, philia, for one, that's usually like a sexualization and stuff. So nyctophilia, it could be the perversion, this like a demonic entity or an evil embodiment of some sort, convincing and trying to brainwash the human race into thinking that this is what you want. You want to reside in darkness. You want to devolve. You want to become nocturnal.
That's what I mean.
You are going to lust for this because this is your reality. This is your world now. It's just this loss of hope. There is no hope. But what you can do is feed off of the fear and despair and almost like perverse it. You can almost like sexualize it if you're passionate about it enough, which that's a really good metaphor for just, I don't know, just being brainwashed into thinking new things, and like what you didn't think before like was true. Basically what is true now, like that's your gospel, is darkness. And it's nice and gothic. I like it. This could nyctophilia could easily be a Cradle of Filth track, and it could already be, and I just have no clue. Who knows? Track 9, we have Centuries of Profane Transcription. I have a feeling right off the bat that this is a continuation of nyctophilia, because Centuries of profane transcription, it's like that's just a continuing brainwashing and this continuing mindset of, oh, you love the darkness. I'm like, yeah, I like villains, but not that much. And it's just like,
Yeah, it's
there is no
continuing from
God.
You get
Yeah.
it, yeah?
it's continuing the story.
You get it.
But for the Centuries of Profane transcription is all about the new era. I mean the from the different timeline. It's like the modern era. It's
Right.
all as I can say, it's the same story, just I mean storyline
Yeah.
continuing by the title by titles.
Right. And perhaps too with track 9, it's like, okay, so we're familiar with this perversion of darkness and despair and just being these new nocturnal incarnations of humanity. And with Centuries of Profane transcription, when I see the word transcription, I'm like, okay, so maybe they're rewriting the Bible in a way too. These demonic entities that are ascending or descending upon Earth, unleashing hell, causing volcanoes to erupt across the globe, wiping out millions. They're like, okay, so now everything's done. Now everything is darkness. The skies are filled with volcanic ash, and they're not going anywhere. And even if they do go somewhere, well, the moon is eternally eclipsed. So with that in mind, it's like, okay, now that you guys realize that this is what you have to deal with now, let's go ahead and get it on paper. Let's get a receipt for this shit, shall we? Like, who knows, man? Chapter 10, or pardon me, track 10, Chapter of Decadence. What is this one about?
Chapter of Decadence. Wait, I
Oh,
just
Decadence,
want to
right.
remember
Oops.
The lyrics. Wait. I forgot the lyrics. Wait. Just need a minute for.
No problem.
to
I mean,
look this
my
up.
impression, if this is continuing from track 7, 8, and 9, it's like Chapters of Decadence could be those new chapters, those new rewritten chapters in this like new Bible.
Chapter of Decadence is all about it's all about I mean, like the war is going to end. It's going to end. Chapter of Decadence. And the darkness have won the war. Have won the war. So the humanity will lose the war and they get into dark.
They're descending into dark new times.
The dark new times.
Sweet. And then chapter 11, Heligion, which I have a feeling this is a play on the word legion, is it?
Legion.
Right.
Legion is all about back from the start about the human creation.
Right.
And this is the end, the first and the end of the story, Hell Legion, because in Hell Legion I said in the Hell Legion it's all like something like when you go into hell, all the human will go to Azazel and ask why you do these things, like why you whispering us to do bad things. So in that time, Azazel will stand and talk about all things from the start, from the beginning and until the end of times. I mean, like, as you know, like Chapter of Decadence, the new like almost the end of the war, and Heligion is the end of the war. We are going to meet our God, and we have a judgment. You are going to hell, you are going to heaven. Then when that time come, we will ask him. We will ask him, why you do that? Why you whispering us to do that things? What? Then he will
Explain
he will have
himself.
he will explain himself and have a speech to humans. And he said like, don't blame me, don't blame yourself. Don't blame me, but blame yourself. Macam tu.
No, that's really cool. That's a really great way to wrap
Don't
up the
blame me,
album.
blame yourself. Because he just whispering us to do bad things, but he didn't force us like physically to do bad things.
Right.
It's all about us. It's all about us.
No, it's great.
And then like something like it's all about him to convince us to do bad things, and this is the end. And we ask him, and he explained everything from the start, from the beginning until the end of time, the
Right.
doomsday. I mean, something like that.
Right. And that's more or less what Megalomaniac is him like telling
Yeah.
them the reason why all this happened and why
Yeah.
they are now known as the Legion. Like
Yeah.
this was meant to be a thing all the way back at the beginning of time. Like for those of you who were left behind, for those of you who are surviving and who are amongst me now, you are the Legion. You are my Legion, the Legion from hell. And we
Yep,
will
Legion from
utilize our
hell.
numbers to oppose God once
That's
again.
true.
No, it's really cool. It's a really good cliffhanger too. It's like, oh, you were always meant to be in the Legion. You were always meant to be my pawns, my demons, my
Yep.
soldiers. Like
But
this was
to be
pre-written.
but to be honest, before Adrian brought the guitar riffs and the melody for Megalomaniac, I already have a lyrics, a storyline before the Megalomaniac. I already wrote the lyrics. I think it takes me like 6 months, I guess. Because I just want to check all the lyrics connected with the others songs.
No, it's really cool.
As I can say, it's too difficult. It's too difficult. I have to study more English and English. It's too difficult for me.
No,
It's
dude,
really hard.
honestly. And that's one thing I wanted to comment on before too. Like as far as I'm concerned, man, I would actually prefer if more bands from around the world utilized their language more and started forging their own sound. Japan does it really, really well, right? So you got like Japanese pop, you got J-rock, you got anime openings and anime closing tracks, all those songs. Like at the end of the day, what really intrigues a lot of people over here in the West is how they utilize their language to do the time signatures and rhyming schemes that they do that are absolutely completely different from what we do over here. So, as someone who participates in as much music as possible, whether here in the US, over in Malaysia with you guys' stuff, Japan with bands like Crystal Lake or Lisa, or there's so many. There are really so many.
Crossfade
What's up?
CrossFade
CrossFit?
from Japan. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Crossfaith, right. That's a band I actually need to listen to more for sure. But what I'm trying to say is don't worry about like really honing in on your English. Because you speak it really well. All of you do in session, and so did Andrian. You guys all speak language, Jesus. You all speak English really well, and you speak it well enough for a Wonder Bread white boy like me to understand. So I think you're off to a pretty good start, and I would definitely encourage that you utilize your language more in your music in the future, because I think a lot more heads will turn for those who are more intelligent and for those who are more open to like participating really in other cultures with the language in the music. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And
Bring us,
for me,
bring us to
and for
US.
me, it's easy to write the lyrics. And for me, it's too difficult to talk with the English because we don't practicing the English in our daily day, something like that.
Right. It's the same thing as me like trying to learn Japanese right now, but in reality, most people, if not English, they speak Spanish over here with that culture kind of integrating more with ours as the years pass. Especially down here in the South, like a lot more people speak Spanish and shit than they do English, but like kind of more or less the opposite way around. But yeah, I definitely encourage you guys to utilize your language more in your music if you haven't done that already. And every now and then, just like the Japanese do, just have like one word maybe during the breakdown where you're like, what the fuck is up? And then you just like do go into a breakdown or something. That would be fun. That would be cool. Or like, this is Megalomaniac. Like all that fun shit. That would be so much fun. And obviously this record is already written, it's already done, it's going to be presented to the public here pretty soon. But to future me, that is the end of the under the skin session. So now we go into the final part. And this is like the conclusion. This is absolutely basically the end credits, people. So for those of you who have listened and have gotten this far in the session, thank you for listening. Thank you for participating. And obviously, you're more or less a fan of Measmata if you're here. If you're not a fan of me, you're a fan of Measmata. And that's really what matters. It's why we do these sessions. So with you guys preparing to roll out physical merch for your album and then distributing it to all major platforms, you're already in the process, I'm sure, of like piecing together some type of EP or album within like the next year or so. So what news do you boys have for your audience and for me, because I would like to know too, concerning the near future for Measmata?
Okay. First of all, our physicals like CD will available in April, and all of the merch like t-shirt, sticker will available in April. And just now we already get into the second album. We just wrote 2 tracks for the second album, and for the second album we have more future vocalists, and one of the biggest name in the second album, I guess, will be Tom Barber of Chelsea Green.
Oh shit.
Yep. We don't have official announcement for the future.
Right.
But I already have a conversation with Tom, and he just said, I just sent to my email after you finish your tracks, and I'll be there. So I'm glad Tom agree with me. It's an honor to feature with Tom because I like Tom from the beginning of the Lorna show. Because I like Tom when he start the Lorna show, the first Lorna show. I mean, his vocal very.
Yeah.
I I'm trying to imitate the vocal range of.
Kasih sikit Ki, kasih.
No, I cannot do that live. Like
like
I forgot the song. I think it's Flesh Coffin. Is it Flesh Coffins?
yeah. I think Flesh Coffin was the last album he was on. Yeah.
Flesh Coffins. That things. So when I start the Measmata to the new Measmata Deathcore, I just
listen to that a lot.
I just want to convert from the metalcore to deathcore, so I forgot to say Tom for the previous questions. I just forgot because I'm too
Right.
nervous.
You're fine.
Yeah, I forgot to say. Oh, fuck! I forgot Tom.
No, he's an iconic vocalist. There's a reason he's been like such a big name in the scene. Have you gotten a chance to listen to Darko?
Oh, Darko, yes, sure.
Good, good.
I
shit.
think Darko is. I think okay when Tom and Laura show it's good. When he go to Chelsea Green, he go to the God level, and when he start a new project with Darko, fuck. I cannot say anything. I'm speechless. What the fuck?
Yeah. Oh, dude, no, like
That's
Darko,
cool.
I compare it to like and this is like something I said during my last front to back session, because I listened to their newest EP, Death Mask Part 2, and I have a hoodie for that album. I plan to custom dye it and make it red. It's gonna be really fun once I finally attend to that. But literally I remember saying that Darko is the music you find in a time capsule like cassette that's buried in the desert close enough to Area 51. Like that's what Darko is. You're just like, you put
Yep.
the cassette tape in, you try to load it where you can, and then you're like, what the fuck? Like that's kind of
Seriously,
what Darko
Darko.
is to me. But really good shit nonetheless. So I think that is a great way to wrap up session. It's currently 1:53 p.m. for me right now, 1:53 a.m. for them right now. So I feel bad for getting you guys and like
Okay.
having you guys stay up so late
Thanks
for
for
a
having
podcast
us.
session.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay, it's okay.
absolutely, man. Yeah. And they will be getting like like Kie just said, they will be getting the physical merch items out sometime in April. They're already pretty deep into, they're already 2 songs into their next full-length album. So they're working hard. They're working hard to get you guys music, get you guys content. Is there anything else you guys would want to say before we go ahead and end session tonight?
First of all, thanks Sean for the podcast.
Thank
course.
you.
It's really means a lot to us. Oh, first of all, I just want to say thank you very much. Thank you very much for the podcast. And Lut, do you have any things want to say?
I just have one. One of the greatest album is Measmata, Megalomaniac.
Oh, I forgot to tell. I forgot to tell you. Our album Megalomaniac is in Borneo. We are the first Deathcore band have album.
Yeah.
We have
Badass.
we are the first Deathcore band in Borneo to
And
have
the
an
best.
album.
Setting
The
records.
best first Deathcore band album
Yes.
in Borneo.
Yo, if you don't like your own shit, then what's the point? You know what I mean, Luther? You tell him, boy. No, it's awesome, man. And I'm really happy for you guys. I know you're going to be making big moves one day. Your new logo is absolutely insane because I actually can't read it, but I like that. I prefer it that way. And yeah, keep on doing what you guys do. Put in as little English in your music as possible. I would prefer it that way, personally.
I think I need your address for the I can send to you the physical and merch to you. So you just give me your address and I will send it to you.
Shit, yeah, okay. I'll give you my address once I have moved and settled in back over in Arizona. You don't have to do that. You're are you sure?
That's okay, man.
Sure. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. All right. Sounds
And
good.
we hope we are gonna meet in person in the future.
Abso-fucking-lutely. You better bet your ass we'll meet in person one day. Are you kidding me? Anyways, this has been an unnumbered episode of the Anatomy Podcast, being that we have 3 in storage right now ahead of this one. And people, just like the great eternal music machine, as we say over in Sean Cross, let's keep cranking, baby, and stay tuned for our next episode.
We love you, Sean. We love you.
We love you, John.
The love goes both ways, people.
Shout out
Later,
from
guys.
Borneo.
See you next year.
See you next year.